Welcome to our Mr. Hilarious channel. Get ready to feel the thrill with scary stories and mysteries that will get your heart racing. Don't forget to subscribe for more horror stories. When the Harper family moved into the infamous Amityville house, they immediately sensed something was off. The main hallway always felt unnaturally cold, no matter how much the fireplace roared in the adjacent room. The chilling air and unsettling silence seemed to whisper secrets the walls refused to keep. Yet the family dismissed their unease as mere paranoia, until the events of one horrifying night changed everything. One fateful evening, Emily, the youngest daughter, woke up to the sound of heavy footsteps echoing through the hallway. Curious and frightened, she opened her bedroom door, only to see the shadow of a man with glowing red eyes standing at the end of the corridor. The figure began to move toward her, its presence suffocating and malevolent. When Emily tried to scream, her voice failed her, leaving her frozen in terror. The next morning, the family discovered long claw marks etched deeply into the walls, marks that hadn't been there before. Emily insisted that the shadowy figure had entered her room, but when they searched, the room was empty and untouched. From that night onward, blood-curdling screams reverberated through the hallway at midnight, growing louder with each passing night. Sleep became impossible, and the family's fear turned into desperation. Unable to endure the relentless torment, the Harpers fled the house in the dead of night, leaving behind all their possessions. The house now stands abandoned once again, its sinister aura undiminished, a chilling reminder of the horrors that unfolded within its walls. The Harpers vow never to return, but the question remains, who or what still lingers in the shadows of the Amityville house? When young couple Mia and Daniel purchased the notorious Amityville house, they were eager to start a new chapter of their lives. However, their excitement quickly turned to terror when they discovered a small, unmarked door in the attic, one that hadn't appeared in the house's blueprints. Curious, they opened it, revealing a dark, cramped room filled with old, dusty toys. But one toy in particular stood out, a doll with hollow black eyes that seemed to stare into their souls. That night, Mia woke up in a cold sweat, her hand feeling as though it were being held by someone or something. When she opened her eyes, the doll was sitting beside her on the bed, despite having been left behind in the attic just hours earlier. Terrified, Maya and Daniel tried to brush it off as a nightmare, but the doll's presence only grew more ominous. In a desperate attempt to rid themselves of the cursed doll, Daniel threw it away. However, each time they left the house, the doll mysteriously returned, always ending up in the same spot in the attic. Mia soon found herself inexplicably drawn to the room, unable to resist the overwhelming urge to enter. The more time passed, the more she felt as though something was controlling her, compelling her to spend hours in the attic, even when she was asleep. Finally, unable to bear the haunting any longer, Maya and Daniel fled the house, leaving everything behind. But Mia's torment didn't end there. She continued to be plagued by nightmares of the doll, its hollow eyes staring at her from the shadows. Though they escaped the house, it seemed the evil within had followed them, and Mia's chilling connection to the doll would haunt her forever. Sarah, a seasoned paranormal investigator, entered the infamous Amityville house with a single goal: to uncover the truth behind its dark history. Armed with her equipment and a keen sense of curiosity, she quickly discovered a chilling detail. The house's basement had a sinister past. In the 1920s, a man named Elias was reported to have locked his family in the basement before mysteriously disappearing. The unresolved tragedy cast a long shadow over the house, and Sarah was determined to uncover the truth. As Sarah descended into the basement, the air grew heavy and oppressive. Suddenly, faint cries of a child echoed through the darkness. Attempting to capture evidence, she set up her camera, but as soon as she began recording, the cries turned into a blood-curdling scream. The camera's backlight flickered and went dark, leaving Sarah in total darkness. When she managed to switch on the light again, her heart stopped. In the far corner of the room stood the unmistakable shadow of a small child, holding a broken, eerie doll. Compelled to approach, Sarah took a step forward, but the wall seemed to shift and groan as though alive. Whispers and voices began calling her name from every direction. The feeling of being watched grew unbearable, and Sarah instinctively backed away. The basement seemed to distort around her, the atmosphere thick with malice. Despite her terror, Sarah managed to escape the basement. But when she reviewed the footage, it revealed something far more disturbing. The sound of the child's cries continued to echo on the recording, even though she had long since left the house. The malevolent presence of Amityville had not only left its mark on Sarah, but it seemed to follow her, ensuring that the cries of the lost souls would never be silenced.